Hey guys, so I wanted to check in briefly because I had some little nuggets of wisdom that I had gathered through my day. And these are things that, I learned just from being around other people and just learning from relationships with anyone and everyone. And so, and that is primarily what we are here to do. So when I say that I have the ability to understand, when I say I have the ability to understand life and what the meaning of life is, and how I have figured that out, it's because I've been able to understand that our whole meaning of life is relationships and learning through them, and that is that is actually the reason why we're here, is to understand ourselves through others here on this earth. Anyway, so when I tune in and talk, I just wanted to let all of you know that it's a really, really, really hard thing for me. And it's a really, really uncomfortable place for me, and it's a really vulnerable spot for me to be in, to talk about the things that I talk about, but I feel it's really, really, really important. And so, only because I've had many, many different synchronistic events that have occurred in the past year that have led me to say, something is happening here, and there's a message here that I am being told. I need to just continue this. And so that's what I'm doing. But anyway, what I wanted to start all of this out with was this message that is a message of hope. And I definitely hear this all the time. I'll have, a lot of people will contact me and they'll be like, please give me some kind of hope, right? And I have to give it, and it's not like I have to give it to them. I know there is hope. And so here is where me and other life coaches out there that work or deal around the whole narcissistic abuse syndrome differ. And it is here that I have a different message for the people that I work with, and the people that I work with are hearing the message of hope. And that is a message that, will continue for me because I've seen it in action. I've actually seen narcissists recover. I've seen sociopaths recover. I've seen so many wonderful things happen as a result of really serious hardships in these people's lives. And so my message is one of hope, and it's always going to be. But it's also one of education. And so what I was going to talk a little bit about tonight was just the idea of relationships in general, why we're here to relate with one another, what that means for us as humans, and how this helps us move forward spiritually. So all of our relationships that we pick in life are basically soul contracts. We design them before we come here, and we say to the other person, hey, you are the type of guy that I want to come into my life because I want you to teach me a lesson. And that guy is going to be like, well, you're the type of girl that I want to come into my life because I want her to teach me trust issues, or I need her to teach, whatever it is. There are lessons to be learned from all of this. These lessons are absolutely, positively like what we need to carry forth. And we simply don't. We shut them down. We like, oh, this is an old relationship, and so I shouldn't be dredging up this trauma and this baggage, and that's total fucking bullshit. Excuse my French. That's bullshit, because we always have to revisit what we have done in order to move forward and expand and grow and evolve. And so I just wanted to briefly go into this whole idea of narcissism, because I feel like it comes from a place of wounding. I really do. And I didn't know it at the time. When I developed this page, when I developed this idea of, hey, I'm going to go out with a message, right? And I'm going to help other women, and I'm going to help them like learn the red flags and exposure and all that stuff. So that came from a place of very, very serious hurt. And so when I was coming from that place, I could feel it. Like, I could feel it inside, and I didn't feel like it was a genuine kind of thing, and I felt like it wasn't in alignment with my truth, which is that there is a bigger picture here than good versus evil, right? And so, and there absolutely is a bigger picture here than good versus evil, and that is exactly what I wanted to share with you guys tonight, because I wanted to talk a little bit about how narcissism and the character traits that are displayed by a lack of empathy are actually a soul illness. It's a sickness that is an illness of the soul. And so I went out on a limb and talked about the demons, or I characterize narcissists as demons, and that's that's kind of the truth. When we are operating at that kind of frequency, and we're operating from that thought form of lack or need, and just trying to get our needs met, right? So we essentially are narcissists, all of us, at that point. The main thing that differs between people that are able to learn from that relationship and move and grow, or I've learned from that, that wasn't good for me, and that kind of person is just not somebody that I would really want in my life again. Narcissists are those that hop from person to person. They have an addiction to people, and what their addiction basically is this. Their addiction is the beginnings of the relationship. So their addiction is in the high that comes with first experiencing someone else's energy. And that's exactly what a narcissist. So they love to do that. They kind of operate on a surface level. They don't really like to get very deep. And that is a part of something called detachment personality disorder. And detachment personality disorder and people that are really, really good at attaching to people, those two disorders kind of go together like peanut butter and jelly. So you make a great sandwich from that, because what's happening is the person that is totally detached still has certain needs that he needs to be met. And those needs, or she, it can be either, but those needs are, I want you to stroke my ego. I want you to tell me that I'm handsome. Or I want you to tell me that I'm powerful. Or I want to feel powerful around you by doing something that is going to place you in a position of disempowerment. And so, hence, are the characteristics of the narcissistic personality, which are, or the narcissistic relationship, which are gaslighting and whatever else, the infidelity and the lies and the needless lies is the problem. And so it's all coming from a place of, I need control, I don't know how to get control, and I've had a lot of trauma in my life, and I'm maladaptive at this point. I am maladaptive. I have not adapted correctly to my trauma. Right? And so now I want to bring it back to spiritual evolution, and how this, when I talk about demons, and I talked about making the analogy between demons and narcissists, what I really wanted to do was go a little deeper into that. Basically just being a subject matter expert on narcissism for however many years I've been researching, I've been able to come up with a few things. And my whole thing was like, I've always wanted to just understand why, right? I think a lot of us just want to understand why, and how did they get this way, and how do they not feel for others, and how do they not empathize. So I will absolutely explain this 100% in very few words, and it is this. Narcissists are people that are suffering. And narcissists are suffering on a level that is, the pain is intense. Ego injury, it by far outweighs a regular emotional issue with a normal person. And so ego injury is to a narcissist like pouring gasoline on a fire, on their fire, on themselves. It basically is just, when we're identifying with a narcissist, we have to identify with their injuries, which are all egotistical and are all based in ego. And so when it comes to spiritual evolution of a narcissist, you'll find that they have a very hard time evolving spiritually. They have a very hard time evolving emotionally, and they have a very hard time with emotional intelligence. And so they will project, and there's a lot of different aspects, there's a lot of different dynamics. It's basically a level of, I don't have the capability to have this kind of emotional intelligence. The way that is undone is through therapy. And so I know a lot of life coaches out there that are coaching people coming out of these relationships with these people to be like, no contact, and they'll never change. And I mean, there's a really hard-assed approach to narcissism in this world and in life coaching especially, and in relationship coaching. And I have to say, I just don't think that message is correct, because I really, really believe that a narcissist absolutely can change. And so that's where the hope portion of this message comes in, is that I would love to give this message of hope to all of you, that I really do think that they can. And I think it takes a wallop on their ego. And I think it takes a level of dissociation from their ego in order to change this. So you'll see a lot of narcissists kind of delve into the spiritual community because while they kind of play like they're dropping their ego and they're teaching and stuff like that, what's really happening is that they're all about control and all about power. And so, we as women, we go to these classes and we take these yoga classes, and, for whatever it's worth, great messages all across the board. But I learned the hard way with that. So, just because somebody says that they don't have an ego doesn't mean that they actually have completely separated from their ego, because that is a painful process. And I know because it's happened to me. So, in terms of empathy or lack thereof, and in terms of this being a soul illness, and in terms of not being able to tap into empathy, where does our empathy live? Where does it live? It lives in our higher states of consciousness. So our higher levels of consciousness, our higher thought processes and our higher vibrations are able to tap into empathy on a much deeper level than you would if you were operating down here, right? Operating down here is it's primal, it's jealousy, it's insecurity, and it's possession. Plain and simple. It's your three-headed monster. That's down here. So down here is your three-headed monster. Up here is I love you so much that I would do anything to make you happy, and that includes letting you go, right? So when it comes to narcissists, there are approaches to narcissism, and what I wanted to do was just send this message out to anybody that is feeling hopeless about your narcissist. But I also wanted to give you, it's a two-headed message. So I wanted to also tell you, yes, don't be hopeless. And if you love someone, let them learn. But here is the key thing. Don't protect your narcissist from their own feelings, or, you know, from realization, self-realization. Don't you as codependents just want to go, I'm going to intercept this, I'm going to protect this person, I'm going to keep them from feeling whatever it is that they were supposed to feel, and whatever karma dealt to them here, I'm going to come in and I'm going to save them, right? And we always want to save people. That's part of our ego too, right? But unfortunately, it does not serve the narcissist to intercept into their learning processes and their life experiences at all. So all that we should be able to do, and all that we can do for anyone that we love and that we have some kind of connection to that is experiencing this issue, is not to better it for them. Because bettering it for them is making them, or continuing their illness. What we really need to do is step aside, and when we feel a bad thing happening and we feel some bad shit coming their way, as empaths, and a lot of us are, especially women, right? We feel that like sense of like some shit is about to go down, right? I know it happens to so many of us as people that are empaths and have those ties, those psychic ties to people that have hurt us. But, and you know, we tend to kind of go, oh my God, the ground is shaking. And there's a storm coming, right? And we go and reach out. And that's our ego, right? That's our ego in a different way. That's us trying to be the hero. And narcissists don't need a hero. And they don't need fixing. They absolutely will get fixed on their own through karma. It just happens. It's their lessons. It's their life lessons that they will learn. When you look at a narcissist, you look at a narcissist's life, and you look at all the divorces, and you look at all the failed marriages, and all the failed relationships, and the cheating, and the infidelity, and the lies, and the web that they spin through their lifetime for their partners, you see their legacy, right? Don't fix that legacy. Let them learn, because we all are on a journey, and we are all here to learn from each other. And so they might get the best lesson of their lives if you just stay silent and shut the hell up. And so what we can expect if we meddle in people's karma is that these people will never spiritually evolve, and they will never raise their vibration up to a higher level. They will never be able to access their higher consciousness like we can, and they will never be able to sense things before they happen to, it will never happen. And I know a lot of people out there kind of go like, well, he's really good on the inside, and I know he's a great guy, it's just there's a lot of shit covering him up. But let that shit get uncovered, and it will over time. Let them learn their lessons, and just stay the fuck away for a little bit until they can. So I wanted to send a message of hope, in that there is hope, and there is change, and there is change that can happen in narcissists. And I really dislike the message that's coming out into the community of like, yes, do we need to absolutely 100% cut, contact in order to stay healthy? And if we feel like we're not operating at a healthy level, or their energy is fucking us up, absolutely. There needs to be a lot of distance, just because we want to maintain our healthy lives. But the hope, the lack of hope, and the despair, and that message kind of irks me these days in the life coaching industry, that is, the narcissistic abuse recovery. Life coaching methods don't align with my inner truth, which is that I have seen firsthand I have seen sociopaths come out of they snap out, and it just happens. And so, not to say, like, keep this hope alive and keep this flame alive, but absolutely just, understand that it's us here on earth. We are all here to learn from one another. And so you are given narcissists over and over for a specific reason. And it's not because you have bad luck. And it's not because, it's not, there's more to it than this. And if you can just understand intellectually that this is the universe sending you this person over and over in a different body for a freaking reason, and it means going back and redoing that trauma and fixing it and getting that energy out of us, because that shit is just, we are just carrying that. And a lot of us are just a straight up narc bait, right? I'm one of them. It sucks. I don't know why. But it's for a reason. It happens for a reason. We are all here to learn from each other, and we can take the gift of learning from narcissists and move it in a direction that is powerful. And we can all come from a place, eventually, a place of healing and power and empowerment and learning, and then teaching to others. So, yeah, 10 years of narcissistic relationships kind of does this to you, and you learn from it, and you say, why is this happening, and what can I do to fix it? Why is this person continuously cheating on me? Why do people continuously cheat on you? You have to look at what it is that's wrong with you. And the victim mentality does not serve anyone, because that places you in a situation of disempowerment. So I just really wanted to send out the message of hope and change. And I wish you all a good evening. Bye. And I love you. Oh.